Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today we have a new video. Today we talk about horizontal scaling. So, why to settle for one supercomputer when you can unleash an army of ordinary ones? Basically, that's horizontal scaling in a nutshell. So, we need to see how it wins, uptime, wallets, and the interview points. So, by the end of this video, I guess you will know how to scale out and when to use it and exactly what buzzword to drop when the interviewer asks something like, "How will you handle 10x traffic tomorrow?" For example. Okay, so first let's start by the definition, and I need my pen here. So horizontal scaling, or scaling out, it's basically means adding more machines. So in the previous video, we did talk about vertical scaling. So we said that if we have a client and this client sends a request to our server, one request to our server per second, and our server limits can handle one request per second. So if the client tries to send two requests per second, our server cannot handle this anymore. So we can do vertical scaling. So basically, we will add more resources. We add more CPU, we'll add more RAM, etc. So our server can handle two. The problem of this architecture, first we have single point of failure. So if this failed, our system is gone. Second, there is a physical limit in upgrading. We cannot just upgrade endlessly. There is other approach, which is horizontal scaling. So basically, instead of having one big machine, we can just have, for example, two machines. And the client can send to them. If the client sends more, we can have additional one here. So the client can send to this one as well. We can add more machine when the traffic was when the traffic was or is going to increase or is in increasing process. And yeah, we can handle everything. So horizontal scaling, aka scale out, means adding more machines to handle more work. Think like something like a pizza shop. Like instead of upgrading your single oven, which is a vertical, you buy extra ovens and bake the pizza in parallel. The yeah, um, I guess this is a good about definition. So let's go next, which to talk about real world examples of using horizontal scaling. The first thing we will talk about Netflix. So Netflix streamer per region, it uses basically new EC2 instances will join the ECG when view counts spike. And in the case of Instagram WebTia, basically dozens of Django pods behind Envoy basically will make will provide a zero downtime deploy for Instagram. The Stripe API, they use horizontal pool stateless Go services plus database read replicas. There is more and more and more and more and more and more of real world examples. But for this video, I just take three specific examples, and yeah. So next, we want to talk about key ingredients and patterns. The first thing we talk about load balancers. So the load balancer will distribute all the incoming requests. Like you can think about Nginx, L7, or AWS ALB to distribute all the requests. Next, we have session management, which basically to store session in Redis or GW token to keep nodes stateless. And I guess we need to create a video about session management in distributed systems. Next, we have shared storage. So shared storage like S3 or a shared DB, so any node can access the same data. Next, we have auto-scaling groups, which are policy-based scale out and scale in by CPU, QPS, or custom matrix. And next, we have consistent hashing. Basically, this for sticky use cases like caches or memcache ring, for example. We in the future might talk about what is a consistent hashing ring. Okay, Next, we will talk about the pros and cons of horizontal scaling. The first thing of the pros is unlimited growth. Like we can add as much nodes as we want, and we can handle any traffic with no problem whatsoever. Next, we have a better fault tolerance. Basically, when you have multiple nodes, if you have one which was failed, you can make the other nodes serve the traffic of this failed node. And next we have cost efficient. Basically, you can add small boxes and not monster iron, which basically um, will reduce the costs because a higher machines or higher end machines it cost significant amount of time of money. Sorry. The cons first is the complexity. When we have multiple nodes, managing the state between them and managing the data between them is not easy. It's really complex. Next, we have network overhead in the cons because since we have multiple nodes, and we will have to introduce something like a load balancer to distribute the load between them. Maybe some. Uh, I guess this is better. Yeah, okay, this is better. So yeah, so if you have maybe the other nodes need to talk with each other, something like that. This will take time. Takes put some latency in the system, and we need to address that. Next, we have data consistency. So since we have distributed system, we have multiple nodes that stores data specifically in distributed databases. We need to make sure that everything is consistent across all the nodes, and this is not easy at all as well. So yeah, let's talk about next. Next, we want to talk about best practices. So you need to think about cold start penalties. Um, so you should pre-warm instances or use a predictive scaling for this. And next you can use a thundering herd. It's like a sudden scale in out loops. Use a cooldown windows. That could be good. Database bottleneck. You need to basically don't forget to scale storage layer, like read replicas and sharding. And next, lastly, we have distributed locks, like avoid single node assumptions. Use like Zookeeper or something like that. Um, and lastly, we will talk about the interview lighting round. So, if you need a killer answer for that, you will start with if your interviewer asks you how we handle like 10x traffic, how you can answer that. First, you say like first I will scale out the stateless web tier behind an auto scaling load balancer. The session will be moved to Redis, images to S3. Once the DB read traffic peaks, I will add replicas and consider sharding. And also you can add like bonus points, so you can mention observability for scaling trigger. We might create a video that talks about how to handle scalability in interview in system design interviews. But yeah, this is different topic. So that's it for this video, and see you in the future.